Good evening and welcome to the Saturday Minions of the Zoo stream thing. Harry can't function because he's worked way too many hours this week. I'm your host and keeper of the Harry channel, and with me tonight are Minions SkepTok.
Hi, everybody.
Serenity Star 13.
Hello.
And DrFunctional.
Yo.
Yeah, I literally forgot how I usually open the show. So Skep, I had to do a whole bunch of work, and it was moving a bunch of systems with a couple helpers on one day, but pretty much by myself from one place to another. And so many things went wrong. So many things went wrong.
That's outside of the whole Windows thing that happened.
Oh, completely outside of that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was going to add that to the show, but I got tired and I forgot.
It's not a big deal, though, really.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's your own fault for running Windows. But no, I spent a bunch of time moving the stuff around, and I had the guys help me. A couple of young guys came in from a local firm. And on this one day, and I told them, you know, when we pull these servers, mark the rails with the name of the server. And they took it upon themselves to decide that a bunch of them were identical, so they didn't need to actually mark them.
Oh, that makes me want to hurt people. I know exactly that problem.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
fucking hell.
Thanks for linking the show, Assassin. Yeah, so spent a whole bunch of time, you know, with me paying these guys, well, I mean, my customer paying these guys $200 a piece per hour, trying to figure out which rails go with which system. I shit you not.
Which is the exact reason why you wanted them labeled.
Which is the exact reason why I wanted them labeled. Now...
Like, I don't even work in IT and I know that.
Okay, so I was trying to like move the systems and then do a bunch of networking, and everything was going to be great. So I go to turn these systems. I go to turn these systems on, and a bunch of them have the Ceph storage stuff on it, and those have to come up first, and in the right order. So I go to turn these things on, and I kid you not, like almost 3 hours trying to figure out why that switch doesn't seem to be communicating with the main router. Turns out I'd push the button on the front that turns on the blinky LED on the back so you can find them from the opposite side. I didn't actually press the power button because and it was so noisy in the computer room that I didn't realize that I hadn't turned them on.
I have done that. I have sat there looking at a machine I thought was on in the noisy machine room, and it's not even on.
Yeah.
You're sitting there for like 10 minutes, and then you realize, oh, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I found that, for instance, the new cabinets they set up didn't actually have any 110 power, so a bunch of things I needed to plug in, I couldn't, you know, to like support the work I was trying to do.
They didn't have 110 power?
No, the PDUs only had 208. They didn't have any, those particular PDUs did not have any 110. It's like, okay, well, this is fun.
So, all right.
There's so much that I'm not going to spend. I could spend the next 2 hours just complaining. But I billed 67 hours this week. That's not including the overhead hours. That's like
that's worked time. 67 hours. That's a hard week, Harry.
Yeah, that's a hard week, and it was a lot of me being kind of sort of old, standing on my feet for 13 hours. Yep. That was not good. So, and leaving at like 1 in the morning and that sort of stuff. It gets lonely there. You know, you've been at the co-location facility for too long when you're sitting there and with like a makeshift desk that you've sort of put together out of a box and a dolly. And and suddenly all the lights go out, and you have to use your flashlight to get to the light switch.
Hello, Dolly.
No sane person would be here. Let's just turn the lights out on Harry.
Right, exactly.
So I know you've had all sorts of stuff going on. I don't know what you want to share, though. Would you like to share something with the class?
Yeah, my wife had a fairly serious injury. She fell and broke her hip. She fell and thought she just hurt herself. She thought she was bruised, and actually got up, went and had coffee for a while, and went outside because in the early morning we water our garden. And she tried to pick up the hose off the ground, and realized the head of the femur broke off completely. And I've never heard that note in her voice. My wife has extremely high tolerance for pain, and I heard a note in her voice that chills me. Even the memory of it kind of gives me goosebumps. It was scary to hear that note in her voice. And she just said, come out here. I need you right now. And we called an ambulance. A harrowing ride to the hospital. Didn't know what was wrong, how badly it was. I was pretty convinced she had a broken hip, but you never know. And she's getting all shocky, and it's not a great looking situation. Emergency surgery. They took her right in the operating room, and fortunately there was a surgeon, and he's like, very good at this particular type of operation. Who fortunately was there. This is not the VA. This is at a civilian hospital, a regular hospital. And she's having an excellent recovery and doing very well. She's not supposed to be on her feet. In fact, she's supposed to be on a walker. She's walking around today, sometimes with the aid of a cane, sometimes just on her own. So it's a week since they did a full hip replacement. This is not a partial hip replacement. This is the whole bonzola. And so anyway, a good outcome. She's got a shiny new hip out of it. And we really took steps to make the house a little more senior friendly. It's kind of funny. We're used to protecting kids and little kids, by making the place baby friendly. But you got to make the place senior friendly. And one of the things is you can't have slippery rugs on the floor. That's what Brenda slipped on. So we now have access to our nice tile floors. And it's just a lot of little things, a lot of little impediments, stuff you could trip over. I think we became old this week officially, and we're still fighting it. We're still protesting, and we plan to take it to court.
Yeah,
that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Well, I'm glad
that she's doing well.
She's
after
okay.
Everything.
Yeah, she is.
You're probably exhausted from all the support stuff that you have to do. Your honey-do list just got way longer.
Oh yeah, because I do now. I'm doing all the grandkid stuff, her grandkid stuff.
Well, you've got a lot of extended family, so hopefully they can.
There's three of us who do all the grandkid stuff. There's only three of us who do this: Katie, me, and Brenda. And Brenda is down. So it's Katie and me right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did call her sister in Casey, and who, interestingly enough, is yet another registered nurse. And that was very helpful having her. She was living in with us this week. That really helped.
Yeah, that would help.
Having a live-in RN, yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah. I mean, not quite the setup that Jenna's got, but, Jenna's got unique problems. And a huge, wonderful family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a few days, Brenda was Jenna.
Yeah.
She needed that much help. But she's recovered now.
Well, that's good.
She was seriously down for a couple of days. Anyway, that's
beyond good.
Enough about me. Yeah. It's all good. We're old. Things happen.
Well, moving on to the next person to the left in terms of the icons I'm staring at, that would be Serenity Star 13, if that in fact is your real name.
Hello.
Howdy. So what's new and exciting?
Nothing really.
So I found out here locally, they call it the Monterey Zoo, but it's actually a little bit outside of Monterey. There's a nonprofit that's sort of formed a zoo, but it's really more like old elephant's home, or where animals go to be rehabilitated type of thing than an actual zoo. But they bill it as a zoo, and if you give them $35 dues, you can go in and look at the animals. You can get a season pass for like $110 or something. And I've been thinking that maybe that would be great, because I could go there and set up my little wireless thing and attend meetings with animal noises in the background.
That would be
and awesome. Just wait to see how long it takes for somebody to say, "Was that an elephant?"
Is there a tiger in your
Is
house?
there a tiger there?
It's like, what are you doing, man?
I just think it would be funny.
Yes, I bought an elephant.
I think it'd be very funny to...
Elephants are fun because they'll, especially if it's a good zoo, and they'll make it so that you can get all the way around them. Like one of the best zoos I've been to that I thought was for elephants was Louisville Zoo, and they have paths that go on. It kind of forks around the elephant's enclosure. Like they still have a back end that the guests can't see, but they have like a forking path around them, so you can go behind them, or you can go in front where all the spots are, and you can usually tell that they're taken well care of, because if they hear human voices behind them, they don't get spooked. They'll come around and look at you.
Yeah.
Because I used to do that. Me and my friends used to go, because there was this little opening at the back, because they put trees to make it so the animals are more comfortable. And I don't care. I'll talk to an animal. I don't give a shit. And the elephants, specifically the Asian elephants, will walk over to the edge of the fence and just kind of look at you, and they're like, "What the hell are you doing here, human? What are you doing? You gotta go that way." And it's like, "Nope, I'm gonna sit here." "All right, well, I'll stand here with you. Okie dokie." And that's just what they kind of do. They'll just stand there and be like, "Oh, hi. There's humans back here. Okay, hello."
Well, I just was like, there's a zoo in Central California? I didn't know.
Monterey Zoo is not in Monterey.
I'm aware of that. They call it
in
that, but it's it's near Spreckles. It's
Sort of.
out where the corn grows, Skep.
Yeah, well,
Out where the corn grows on River Road.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's out there by
Nothing.
Spreckles is the only town I
It's right
I
down
know
by
of
nothing.
that's out there. I don't know of any other town. It's like south of Salinas.
It's between basically Toro Regional Park near what used to be Fort Ord, and you basically head inland along the Salinas River, and it would be in there. So that's a place where you can actually get some land and give the animals some room.
About a third of the way to Soledad.
Yeah.
Oh, is this the pause group?
I don't know if
Does
it's
it?
the pause group.
Because that's the only one I can. Because I have access to sanctuary list because of.
But I think it's cool. I think
yeah.
I think it's good because
Well, I mean, California is the best for at least the savanna type of African elephant. Is kind of the best setup for them, because it's as close as we can get without trying to cart them off across the ocean.
Well-
which elephants don't handle going across the oceans very well.
chaparral would be just fine, right?
Yeah. So it's well, the thing is like there's three different types of Asian elephants and 2 different types of African elephants. There's forest African elephants, and there's savanna. California seems to be best set for savanna type, because that's what they're used to. The savanna ones, I think, are the biggest, if I remember right. The forest ones are smaller than the savanna ones. I think there's like 3 or 4 different Asiatic elephants. Thankfully, we've never had to deal with an elephant here, because I would tell them to go fuck themselves. I'm not dealing with an elephant. I'm not dealing with an elephant. I'm not doing it. Camels were hard enough. I'm not dealing with an elephant.
Dealing with the poo would be awful. That's your pun for the day.
I have.
Yeah, but as animals
for
themselves,
fertilizer.
Nobody got that pun.
I got it.
Surprised.
as
Yeah, I
animals
heard that.
themselves, like they're fun, they're interesting.
They're interesting, but they're too smart. That's the problem.
That's what I mean. They're smart. They're interesting to.
Yeah.
But like as to sit there and take care of them, no, fuck that.
Yeah, they're like
So much work.
The camels are morons.
Camels are assholes too.
Yeah, they're stupid assholes. Which
Except for
makes it
Hate
worse.
Camel, who's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Big camels.
I have a hard enough time dealing with hinnies and mules and donkeys who are all too smart for their own damn good. If it was like 3 tons of just gray matter coming at me, I wouldn't be able to deal with it. I'd be like, nope, nope.
Well, they are literally land whales.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
I've heard good stories, because I've talked to some of the other sanctuary and halfway house people, and they said they're good animals. It's just as one older lady put it, she's like there's a mindset to it. Like, if you don't have the right mindset to deal with them, you can't. And she's like, it doesn't matter how big your property is, it's never big enough, because she's like, these animals go for 50 kilometers in any direction. So you can try to do good by them, but she's like, they're just not. It's just, you're dealing with that the entire time.
Well, so Functional has a thing he wants to talk about, but people in the chat have already started talking about Newhart. So what I want to do is
Yeah, it doesn't have to.
I'm
be
going to
right
slight
there.
you this time.
You can at least say hello. And
Hello,
let me say
bye. Hi, hello, goodbye.
Hi.
And I'm going to We're gonna go to Newhart, and then we'll circle back to your thing. So Daniel Price says Newhart's eulogy will be delivered by Larry and Daryl. Unfortunately, their brother Daryl won't be there, able to attend. Yeah, the thing is, Bob Newhart had such a huge career that I think a lot of people sort of remember him for different things. You know, there's multiple ways one can enjoy Bob Newhart, right down to, I guess he was on The Big Bang Theory.
Yep.
Which goes to show that no matter how much I like somebody, if they're on something I don't like, I'm not going to watch them.
Yeah, exactly. I won't. That's the show I won't watch.
Yeah. So I'm not going to watch The Big Bang Theory, but hey, I'm glad he was there. I mean, he was in the movie Elf too, right?
Yep.
So, but for me, the original Bob Newhart was like the albums and stuff, the Button Down Mind, that kind of stuff. So I started at the beginning, went through his whole TV thing, multiple TV series. You know, there was the thing he did on Mad TV, which I thought was great, that one little guest shot. And recurring roles and all sorts of things. He's been absolutely fantastic. So when he did the Big Bang Theory, he had two conditions.
And he did Young Sheldon too, which
is
prequel to.
Well, he had two conditions that he made. One is that he required of Chuck Lorre that his scenes had to be filmed in front of a live audience. He wanted actual laughter, actual response, not canned anything. And the other requirement, he said, is he had to be sort of a semi-regular. He didn't want to just do a one and done, and he didn't want to become a permanent character. He wanted to just, but have it be more of a long-running kind of thing. And
that's why he was Professor Proton.
Yeah, exactly. And Chuck Lorre just said, yes, sir, whatever you would like, sir. Please be on my show. Because he knew that no matter what he ended up giving Bob Newhart, he was going to get more in return. The other thing about Newhart that's so amazing is sort of his origin story, which I know we've talked about before, but essentially he was working as a accountant, and he was doing that. And not everybody enjoys double entry accounting, Serenity. I know it's a wild thought, but there are people who don't actually like it.
I'm good at it, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm good at it too, and I don't like it. But so he actually quit doing his job and gave himself like a couple years to try to get into some kind of comedy related thing. His goal was never to be a stand-up. That was not even anything he thought of in terms of where this was going to go. He was thinking maybe like a comedy writer, something sort of in that vein. And he ended up getting like a record deal for a comedy album. And he didn't really have like a stand-up comedy career when this all happened. They had to like book a place to put him out to have him do material for the albums. It was just a crazy thing. And then he ends up becoming one of the greatest comedians, I think, in many ways of all time. He is
one of the more versatile and amazingly, you could slap him on almost anything and improve it.
Yeah. Well, there's this thing that I found here. It was The Rise of Cerebral Comedy, Bob Newhart and Don Rickles, right? And let's see, go away. So, because Bob Newhart and Don Rickles were the best of friends, because it turns out their wives became friends first. But the title of this thing, The Rise of Cerebral Comedy, he really was a pure comedian without. There wasn't a lot of performance in there to kind of zazz up some substandard material. It wasn't about like shock and awe. It was just about just pure comedy. He's, which I think is really kind of admirable, because a lot of the guys that came before him, including his friend Don Rickles and Buddy Hackett and all these guys who sort of dug into this Catskills performance history, they were from a completely different school of comedy. Bob Newhart, in a way, was like really original, and like I said, just kind of untainted by this stuff. He won't necessarily be the guy that makes you laugh the loudest, but he is the guy that will make you laugh like for the longest time. You'll laugh and you'll just sort of keep laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing. That's just my sort of impression of him. But of all the things that he did, the thing that I think is most remarkable are like his weird vacation films that he did with his best friend Don Rickles, because even just IRL, Bob Newhart was freaking hilarious in that sort of low-key sort of way. So here's just a little sample of one of his vacation reels that he did with Don Rickles. Now, he actually would go, and sometimes instead of doing his act, he would just show these films and then narrate, and the audience was not disappointed at all.
Venice was one of Don's favorite destinations. We were in Venice one day.
Oh, no video?
No vid.
Oh, what did I do? Oh, I'm stupid. Sorry. I'm going to make a lot of mistakes today.
Yeah, you're still
There
not
you go.
stupid.
The girls were shopping, and Don and I were hanging out on one of the side canals when I noticed a newsstand about 100 yards away. So I went down to get an international edition of the Herald Tribune. Some American tourists happened to be there, and I spent some time with them talking. I came back to where Don and I were, but there was no Don. And then I heard a psst. See, Newhart, you're gonna ruin the trip. I mean, if you talk to people, you're gonna ruin the trip. I said, but they were very nice people. They knew my TV show, and we talked about it. Oh, again with a TV show. You think you're the only person with a TV show? Well, I'm the only person in this group with one, yeah.
Because Don Rickles is just like Don Rickles just does not handle TV well. Let's just put it that way. He's been very, very successful, but he did not have a great run on TV. He was really good in a bunch of movies and stuff. He was fantastic in movies, but God, TV was just not his thing. And I was a devoted CPO Sharky fan. If I would think I was the only one. Of course, I also liked Hello Larry. So I mean, I like a lot of bad TV. But there's
that's what
He's great
that's
in roast.
annoyingly bad.
yeah, I know it is annoyingly bad.
He's great on some of those TV roasts, though. But that was less of a TV show and more just like a one and done special.
Yeah, that's like
he
a
was
show.
like Daniel Price in chat said. Like,
Yeah, I love
he really
some-
found his niche with zigging people, and it was glorious.
Yeah, I love actually Newhart's like kind of low boil roast stuff is fantastic. So Judd Apatow, and I didn't realize this until I was preparing for the show about a few months ago, it was like 9 months ago, I guess. He put together a documentary. Bob and Don, A Love Story, a short documentary by Judd Apatow.
Oh, interesting.
Now, rather than screw things up and me talk over this or play part of it, I'm just going to put this in the chat for anybody who wants to grab it, if I can figure out how to cut and paste successfully. Paste.
Apple C, Apple V.
Yeah.
Control-C,
Okay.
Control-V.
And so this is a little something for after the show that I thought was really great, because it's about their relationship with each other. There's some fantastic stuff in there. I think the first time I even knew they were friends is when they showed up together on the Donahue show, and they were on as like co-guests and kind of playing off each other. Because until that happened in the late '70s, I didn't even know that these guys were friends. They were just two guys that I thought were awesome separately.
Yeah.
I didn't know that there was this relationship. But I did want to show one little bit of Bob being incredibly funny, and this is one of my all-time favorite things, which is Bob Newhart trying to return a toupee to a department store. And maybe we'll get copy struck into oblivion. I don't care. Somebody like Bob Newhart doesn't pass away every day, so we have to take some chances here.
Is this the complaint department?
Yes, sir. This is a complaint department, man.
Like his hat.
Yeah.
Men's hats need to make a comeback, and I'm not talking about ball
Of
hats.
some
which-
kind. I'd like to just returning a gift.
Is it underwear, sir?
Dean Martin was a great straight man.
It isn't underwear or anything like that. See, my wife bought me a toupee, and she gave it to me early so that I could wear it to some of the Christmas parties. And I'd like to return it.
Oh, well, do you have it with you, sir?
It's under the hat.
Well, what model is it?
I don't know what model it is. The crew cut with the widow's peak.
Oh,
Dean Martin is losing it.
oh, that
Yeah.
would be our
Yeah.
Mr. Wonderful model. Yes.
I don't know what you people call it. I'd like to return it.
Well, you'll have to show me the merchandise to be returned, you know, if you want to show it to me.
Well, I'll show it to you in a minute. There's some people coming. Just don't stare at me. Just
Yeah.
there. See, the problem is, when people pass me on the street and they start laughing. You know, I notice lately they started laughing.
Well, it certainly makes you look years younger.
Yeah, well, it may make me look years younger, but people still laugh, you know.
Well, what seems to be the main complaint?
Well, the main problem is we went to this Christmas party, and I bent down to put some cheese dip on a cracker, and a toupee went into the cheese dip, and everybody quit having cheese dip, and the hostess started crying, and we spent a couple hours trying to fish it out of the cheese dip. And well, this may be funny to you, sir. You had to be there. I took it home and I put it in the washer dryer, you know. Get the cheese dip off it. And we had one of those with the windows in them, you know, those kind. Now, there's another problem. See, the kids, they like to sit and watch it.
He's not even crying.
They're mad at me because I'm returning it, you know.
Oh, well, you want the full exchange on that?
No, I don't want the full exchange. I'd like to get a real cheap one just to stick in the washer dryer for the...
Did you ask whether she was getting it for you?
No, I didn't know she was... Well, you know, looking back, she came in one morning and with this piece of paper, and she had me put my head on the piece of paper. You can get the wrong size, you know, if you don't put your head on the piece of paper. It's embarrassing. It fits me, but it's embarrassing enough. But if I got one that didn't fit me, I'd be... She never told me why she traced it on the paper.
And the reason you wanted to return it?
Well, the main reason is that, you know, it doesn't do what you people say it's going to do.
Well, it does make you look younger.
I know, you keep saying that. It makes me look years younger, but I still would like to return it. I still like to return it.
Well, that particular model is guaranteed to stay on in a hurricane. Excuse me.
I know it stay on a hurricane, but see, we're from Iowa, and we don't get that many hurricanes. I wanted to stay on mainly when I got on for the cheese dip. That's what I'm.
Yeah.
You still have the price
Cheese dip
tag?
proof, maybe some Scotch guard.
You'd need the price tag on it.
Oh, certainly.
Could I use the phone?
Why, yes.
Honey, yeah, listen, you want to call the Hennessy's? Yeah, and ask them to look in the bottom of the cheese dip bowl, see if there's a price tag.
End scene.
That is so good.
You know, I mean, how do you even pick a Bob Newhart scene?
Oh, I know.
I mean, there's so many of them.
I thought you would pick one of his really old ones, like the you know, where you only do it one time.
You're roboting really badly.
Okay.
You're back now.
There you
All
go.
right. Anyway,
You thought I'd pick one of the really old ones. So here's the deal. The really old ones would be clips off of one of his comedy albums.
Right.
And I think we would get content ID'd like immediately.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's why I went for
scanned
something not under an RIAA.
But
label.
the other thing that really stands out with this, though, is how much of his humor he owes to people like Shelley Berman. There were other comedians who were doing that type of comedy, and if you trying to think of some of the other ones, and anyway, he was there were other comedians doing that type of comedy at the time. It's just he came in and did it so much better and so much funnier he took some other comedians' good ideas and then infused them with ideas of his own. He really was one. He synthesized a lot of existing ideas with his own ideas. He's really a brilliant guy.
I would lend that a lot to his on-screen charisma, because not a lot of comedians have an on-screen charisma, but Newhart himself transferred very well to being presented on screen. I think that's what elevated him.
Yeah.
Head and
One of
shoulders
you kind of laugh at his attitude after a while. Just his attitude toward the world. That's what's so amusing, and he just confirms it through his comedy.
Next to the dictionary in Class Act, you see his face.
Yeah.
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 Well, he was more of an everyman. You see like a guy like, excuse me, like Shelley Berman. He would do a sketch involving telephones. Telephones were big for humor. Telephones and airlines, right? Mm-hmm. And Shelley Berman did both of those sets of jokes. And so Shelley Berman would do his sketch like the morning after, the night before, where you hear one side of a conversation where he is just absolutely wrecked. He has the worst hangover, and he doesn't really remember what he did at a party the night before.
Right.
Absolutely hilarious. Okay. I love that. The morning after, the night before, but it's so much of it is in the performance of it, the way he does it. Whereas Newhart is just like deadpan. He'll talk about, the bus driving school. Here's the school for bus drivers. How do you accelerate it, close the door at just the right time to make them run for it and then watch them fall over? How do you basically torment the people who ride the bus? That kind of thing. Or the driving instructor.
Yeah.
But it's all very kind of low key. And you notice that in this sketch, it started out and it's like, oh, this is not the funniest thing I've ever seen. But it just kind of builds and builds and builds. And then there's like the callbacks. So you've got multiple callbacks as the joke kind of progresses. It's a very well-written joke.
Yes. That's the other thing is it's not just a straight, here's the joke, here's what's funny. Mm-hmm. It's complex humor, like, as you say, with callbacks and being sometimes self-referential in an extremely humorous way. Great man.
Well,
great writer.
It's not like there weren't great golfers before Tiger Woods, but Tiger Woods showed up and he had like this work ethic, like personal physical fitness, relentless practice, all these things, and he came in and he was just better at the game.
Yep.
Than a lot of these other guys, just better.
That's,
which doesn't mean that Jack Nicklaus wasn't an amazing player. The whole bunch of great players that existed before Tiger Woods. But in a way, Bob Newhart is the Tiger Woods of comedy. He came in and he was like, I think in some ways, like the first sort of modern comedian. And he was certainly, he definitely was a game changer. So his if you ask him, if you were to ask Bob Newhart who his influence was, he said Jack Benny. Yes. And that's actually kind of telling because Jack Benny is one of the few comedians who was comfortable with silence. That sort of negative space that you see in other art forms, you don't really see it in comedy so much.
Jack Benny could look off, just off to the left of the camera a little bit, stare off into space, and it would be funny as hell. Yeah. And he would get 10 seconds of laughter out of that.
The other analogy I had about Bob Newhart is, how the book is almost always better than the movie?
Yep.
Bob Newhart delivers comedy, and you experience it almost more like a book. It's very sparse, and you fill things in with your own sort of experience. You paint a picture. He doesn't beat you over the head with what's funny about things. You have to sort of cooperate with it, like when you read a book.
He asks you to invest.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
It's not a passive experience.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see his comedy legacy being carried on by people like Hannah Gadsby, for example.
That's not even comedy.
Just having a little fun here, folks.
Yeah. Well, we can't talk about Bob Newhart all night as much as I might love to.
Why not?
Serenity, you're very quiet.
I mean, I like Bob Newhart. I prefer his TV shows than his comedy stand-up directly, but that was always just the stuff that I preferred.
The TV shows are great.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not saying anybody's saying they're not great. It's just, to me, the Dean Martin was always the funniest parts of whenever anybody was on his show. Bob was still funny, but half the fun was watching when Dean would lose it.
Yeah, there was one with him and Dean. With I think it was Bob Newhart and Dean, and Dean was totally screwing up. He was not doing well, and he asked Newhart. He said, "Well, what is it you want, sir?" And he said, "Well, I'd like a straight man."
Yeah, that one was good.
I like straight man. Actually,
It's like thanks for breaking the fourth wall, but no, Newhart on TV was fantastic.
Oh yeah, no, he was really good, and
he had such instincts.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was he's one of. It's a very kind of interesting thing because his style is very, very different than a lot of the comedians, even comedians who came later. I'm tired and I can't remember his name now. God damn it. The one that everybody always quotes whenever they talk about the government.
George Carlin.
Yeah.
Thank you. He's very different than one of the other big names, which was George Carlin, but George Carlin came later. But it's one of those things I've always preferred Bob's way of doing it than the George style of it. Like I haven't liked a lot of modern comedians other than Robin Williams. So I've always liked the older ones anyway, just because to me it's kind of like music. If you have to get grotesque or curse in order to get your point across, you suck at your job.
Yeah.
And I respect George Carlin because George Carlin wasn't wrong about stuff, but he just wasn't that funny to me. Plus, I also grew up with George Carlin out in the Thomas the Tank Engine TV show on PBS. So it was a very weird gear shift for me to see him as he was. But Bob was always that kind of... I watched Nick at Night all the time. His shows were on Nick at Night when I was growing up, along with Zorro and I Love Lucy and all the rest of them.
Yeah.
It's the best ending. The best It Was All a Dream ending for a TV show was his second series. Was his second TV show.
Yep.
That he did. That is the only permissible one. That is the only permissible It Was All a Dream ending. That's the only one.
Yeah. There should
all
be
the
a
rest of them
rule
are dog shit.
that says, basically don't ever do this. It was all a dream thing. Just kidding. That doesn't work asterisk except for the last, except for the one time Bob Newhart did it.
Yes, and it worked perfectly.
That's the only time.
Because he had a previous show that helped it all go with it, and that's the reason why. And I liked his character Professor Proton on The Big Bang Theory, and he was on Young Sheldon, and it was just, it's one of those things that's kind of like Dr. Ruth. Like I'm sad they're gone, but at the same time you live till you were in your 90s. Good going, pave the wave in gold and just let them go. Like. I hope it was a quiet, calm, and gentle going. That's all I hope for. And I'm hoping he had a one-liner before he went. Because it seems like the kind of guy who would.
Yeah.
Jefferson lives.
He'd do something weird. He'd probably go, don't tell my wife or something like that. He'd probably do some joke about Newhart show. But it was just, he was that kind of comedy that I've always liked. Like, Robin Williams is like the only one I liked who cussed. All the rest of them, I like, I don't care if you cuss, but you're not funny to me most of the time. Bob's always good.
The story about how Robin Williams landed that first spot on Happy Days is actually pretty interesting because there's a whole bunch of backstory into how that happened, but that could be a thing for another time.
I think Henry Winkler talked about it in the Happy Days documentary, I think.
Yeah.
Because I remember vaguely about it.
That wasn't too long after he was performing on street corners in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I had a chance to see him. I used to go down and watch these mimes called the Shields and Yarnell. They eventually got a TV show too. And they were friends with this guy named Robin Williams. And I'd heard about this guy. And we used to go down to the into the city and watch the performers and all that kind of stuff. And that and I never walked down to where Robin Williams would perform and do mime and comedy stuff on a street corner. It was about 2 blocks from where Shields and Yarnell would do it, but they were so entertaining. I used to walk down there and watch them, and I never walked over to see Robin Williams. I had a chance to see him. I had a chance to see the Talking Heads and the Ramones, and I've blown all 3. It's a life poorly lived, I'm afraid.
Hey, do you want to see something cool?
Yeah.
So, let's see.
Now I notice say no if somebody says you want to see something. Really
So there's
scary.
there's an animal preserve. Well, there's a wildlife area up in Alaska where they've set up a live camera of the bears
Yes.
looking for fish.
Yep.
You can just watch this like indefinitely. This
I
is a
have
live.
watched this for a long time.
Oh,
Yes.
you've seen this?
I've seen this.
The
I
bear
love it.
camera?
Tumblr has a thing called Fat Bear Tuesday, which is just people grabbing screen caps of the fat bears during when they're stocking up for the winter time, and they post pictures of them.
Well, it's new for
And
me.
it's not dirty. It's not dirty on Tumblr. It's just legit. Someone's like bears, and there you go.
I could lose so much of my life just watching these bears.
Absolutely.
Harry, I watch so many of these nature ones. Like
Yeah.
someone, I think Serenity should do this, but they just have a series of cameras and some contraptions for the nighttime wildlife, so they get a lot of raccoons, some odd,
Mhm.
the odd bear, and that kind of stuff. And it's so entertaining to just have it on the other screen while I'm doing work or something, and it's peaceful, it's serene. Eagle cams are really fun, especially during their hatching season, because you get to see them like nesting and then subsequently feeding. Oh, and they're actually catching all the fish.
Well, it's like there's this one, and then there's one that's in Grand Teton, but the Grand Teton one has been turned into everybody hunting for Bear 399. Because she's the amazing mother bear who's had so many babies, and like the last time she had babies, which she was already out of the age range for, supposedly, or close to out of their age, she had 4. And she's the most successful grizzly bear mother they have on record. All of her babies have made it to adulthood. But that's the one in Grand Teton is, oh God, Harry, this one, Jesus Christ, this commercial. Jesus. Oh, Lord.
Right. And the shin kick. I give up. Oh, right in the nards.
Sorry, I'm such a child.
I think we should watch the Dial an Atheist skit.
Dial an Atheist skit? Okay.
The next.
I haven't seen it, so historic film stock footage archive. Will they smite us? Well, I guess we'll find out.
Volume?
Okay.
Audio?
You see all this stuff that's all over this? This is going to get us copy struck into oblivion, I promise you.
And then don't.
Yeah, we can't do
Also,
that.
there was no audio in either of those.
No, you need to
Oh,
not.
well, you need to yell at me when I do that. Sorry.
I'm so
I didn't realize it with the commercial because it was just the commercial and seen it, but
So you didn't hear any of the audio for that, but you've seen it before, right?
At
everybody's
the river mouth, the bears catch only the tastiest, most tender salmon.
You get the general idea. Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to miss Bob Newhart. I actually name all of my company's computers after comedians. And I had like...
Really?
Yeah, I do. And I had a... Well,
fucking nerd.
except for my laptop, which I always name after a Frank Lloyd Wright building. But all of my other computers are named after comedians. And I had Rickles and Winters and Newhart and a bunch of those. And of that whole set, Newhart's the only one I still have around.
It's funny you bring up those naming conventions because I have 2 myself. One are states of mind.
Mm-hmm.
So like DrFunctional. Functional is, state of mind. Inoperable, those kinds of things. And the other one is famous scientists. So like in Star Trek, my ship's name is the USS Oppenheimer. My hard drives are named, Einstein, Pasteur, and I don't remember what the third one is, but I love when people mention they have naming conventions like that.
Mine are named after either types of angels or actual archangel names.
Cool.
Well, since everyone is disclosing their particular fetish, my name.
You went muffled.
You went
Skep.
roboted for a second.
My particular fetish with respect to names runs toward places and things in Middle Earth. and in the earlier ages of Middle Earth, particularly
cool.
from the Silmarillion.
Nerd.
And just because I'm not a moron and don't mean to, but none of those naming conventions have anything to do with my password naming conventions, which are completely secret and completely safe. Keep it secret. Keep it safe.
Well, you had a thing, Functional, you wanted to talk about, which was, well, you describe your thesis.
Gee,
or your
Functional,
topic.
how was your week? Oh, thanks for asking, Harry.
Yeah, I already know how your
My
week is. Talk about your thing.
Yeah, but just quickly, because I actually had something to say for once.
Okay.
So it's been about a decade.
Whoa, time out. For once?
In the preamble and the hello.
Yeah.
You never say anything in the preamble.
No.
About me, about what's going on in my life.
Hey, Functional, I was kind of curious, what's going on in your life?
So for the first time in a decade, I went and saw my optometrist. And last time I saw him, good news. Well, turns out it's good news. There were some precursors for glaucoma. This time around, nada, zero. Although my, getting older and being a natural glasses wearer, they were getting, so I it wasn't, when something like that goes, because it's so slowly and slow gradual, you don't notice. But in the second I was there, I was like, oh my God, my eyes have gotten much worse. So I'm getting new glasses.
You're not smoking enough dope.
Well, no, I am, Skep, because the glaucoma, there's no traces of it at all.
Like, you got to keep up your dope smoking. So you.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's just a given. That and gummies. Oh man, it's so great. Yeah. No, but a lot of it, and the RNC was fucking fantastic. I had a great time watching that. Hulk Hogan is a fucking childhood hero of mine. Seeing people I don't always agree with people in the Republican Party or conservatives in general, but it was nice to see that sort of a great venue. Anyway, but my thing was, at the grander scheme of things, obviously there was the big assassination attempt, and there's been a lot of fallback from that. I didn't want to talk about the events themselves, but I wanted to ask you guys how you were feeling about people, how they react to it, both people and the big talking heads online, because obviously the big thing right now is the big D word, Destiny, who's just a total shitbag, and people are going, oh my God, he's such a shitbag. It's like no shit, Piers Morgan. He's always been a shitbag.
People are just finding out that Destiny's an asshole. Come on.
Yeah, it's so funny, Skep. So to see some of the fallout, the reactions, a lot of people on the right are moral fagging. They're like, oh, you can't make a joke about that. The first thing I fucking said was a joke. I said, and it was half a joke, but also half serious, and saying, yeah, I wish he didn't miss, because then maybe the actual American hero, the firefighter, wouldn't have taken a bullet. Because that man, hands down, no question asked, doesn't matter what his political leanings are, American hero. And to see some people, not just little D over there, but so many people just act so callously and with not even a hint of humor. Because I can watch the Kyle Gass comment where he says, don't miss Trump next time. That's their shtick. That's like comedy. They do a lot of really edgy stuff sometimes. And I didn't have a problem with that. Now, do I think it's a little distasteful to have a little bit, to not have a little bit of time when somebody passes, or when somebody nearly passes or has a bad accident? Yeah, you should, kind of read the room and just maybe take a minute, let things, settle a bit. But then the day after, you can actually say, yeah, but he died, but he's a piece of shit because of XYZ he did in his life that made him a piece of shit. You couldn't do the same thing with Bob Newhart, because Bob Newhart's a great man, and but I really wanted to know what you guys thought about, is there a period of time where it's gauche to make certain comments like that, or are you more like me and say, yeah, you're pretty much a free speech absolutist as long as that speech isn't transgressing the actual legal lines of saying, hey, get that, those kinds of things, or libel, slander, which are very legally defined terms.
Yeah.
But people talking online in humor, online in those spaces, what do you guys think?
Well, there's three three words. Well, okay, there's three tests that I like to use. You know, should it be said? Should it be said by me?
Yeah.
Should it be said by me now?
Yeah.
And this is where there's the asterisk. As far as comedians go, they get a separate rule. The only thing that a comedian can say that's wrong is something that's not funny.
Not funny.
Okay? It doesn't matter. Comedians follow a different set of rules than the rest of us,
Harry.
right?
Exactly to a T.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I didn't make them up.
I know.
I forget which journalist it was that came up with these sets of rules, but they were trying to figure out, well, what should we print? What should we put in the paper as an editor? And I've sort of tried to take those to heart and internalize them.
It's a shame not too many people have that sort of golden rule set of rules to maybe control themselves a bit. I'm personally not going to get upset over somebody saying something that I find distasteful. It's distasteful. Oh well, offense is taken, not given.
25-year-old Harry didn't have those rules. I can tell you that right now. This is something I've just sort of learned over time, because I will say things that I would definitely in the past and still occasionally give in to my demons and will just say something because it will amuse the shit out of me. And that's a wrong thing to do, and I don't recommend that, but it's pretty satisfying sometimes. I was in a meeting with a bunch of people. I was dealing with this contract that just ended, and all the people who were supposed to work on this given task that was funded by the government decided they didn't want to work for the new contractor because the new contractor was shit. Okay, just had a terrible reputation. No one wanted to work for them. So in this meeting where we're handing this stuff off, they asked me, said, well, they need to have this work done and it's already been paid for, but we don't have anybody to do the work. What should we do? And I said, well, can you find somebody else to do it? No, it's very specialized and niche. And I said, oh, okay. These were people that worked for me that were working on it that decided not to go on the new contract. I said, well, can you give the money back? And I said, well, we've already spent it. And I said, well, I guess it sucks to be you.
Yeah.
Now,
better
to say
it.
that was a completely inappropriate thing for me to say. But it felt really good.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not saying that it's easy to have rules, but sometimes an opportunity just comes
Did
along.
It need to be said by you then?
Right then, no,
And
absolutely not.
I guess some voice inside you said the answer to that is yes.
Oh, 30-something-year-old Harry thought that was really great.
Oh, that's right.
But I look back on it now and go, what the hell was wrong with me? I didn't get hit enough as a kid. I didn't get bullied enough. That I really needed some kind of intervention.
Let me just tell you, it's interesting who is credited with that quote. Ask yourself the three things you must always ask yourself before you say anything. Does this need to be said? Does this need to be said by me? Does this need to be said by me now? It's Craig Ferguson of all people.
Oh wow!
Yeah, we're all just quoting the same people. I mean, there's a reason why those rules are part of my personal code now, and it's because of things like that meeting that I was in. Because I had an opportunity to do business with those people about 10 years later, and it didn't help things. The fact that there were still people that remembered what I said at that meeting.
10 years later, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I respect your take, Harry, but I'm speaking more about when other people say things.
Well, okay, which other people? Because there's the press that's trying to manipulate stuff, and then there's sort of like Joe Public. Now, people's honest responses to things are one thing, but sort of provocateurs, different class, and news people who are doing narrative-driven journalism are yet another sort of class. So provocateurs just want to stir the pot, and in a sense, they don't count, right?
Or Joe Public or the talking heads, not the media who is obviously and overtly just playing those games, but for instance, we have example of a famous one is Libs of TikTok is now doxing all these regular Joes. There's this one big story about this woman who worked at Home Depot, and she said, next time don't miss, or something stupid and distasteful. Sure, but I'm of the opinion really shouldn't get in trouble for that kind of speech. I wouldn't say trouble, but how real trouble. Now she's fired and people are sending her threats because of this instigation. I'm your reaction, while morally justified in how you feel about it, your actions subsequent to that are just as egregious in my mind. Like, leave the person alone. If you don't like what they have to say, then don't listen to them. Don't care. Again, going back to the legal term of, is when the judicial system takes threats into account and prosecutes them, there has to be a certain level of actionability. So if I say right now, I'm going to kill Harry, there's no actionable threat there.
Well, it's not credible.
I mean?
Yeah. I don't know if it's actionable. I guess actionable is part of it. Basically, is it something you actually are in a position to do? Right.
Well, credible is the common parlance, but in legal speak, it's actually actionable. Like, you have to be able to follow through. If maybe this was a bad example, but if somebody bumps me on the bus and I say, "Motherfucker, watch it, I'll kill you." Like, I mean, that's kind of a gray area, but ultimately, there's no physical action. I'm not like taking an aggressive stance. It's just like a muttering, and then we both go on our way. Like, it's not actionable. There's no actual chance that the person would, commit violence and ultimately murder someone.
Well, you're familiar with Rahm Emanuel, right?
Yeah.
Probably. And he basically said there's no crisis. Well, I'm paraphrasing, that you essentially can't capitalize on. A good crisis is just an opportunity. So, like, for instance, if you have a particular agenda, like this, DEI, right? So this thing comes up, there's a DEI component. So instead of talking about like the bigger issue of how the press is getting people all worked up into a lather and kind of poking a stick at the mentally ill to cause things like this to happen, let's just talk about like this tiny little part of it, the DEI component. Now, of that group of people that was shielding him, there was one female agent that who did her job and threw herself in front of the president to shield his body, former president, right? And then there's the one that was sort of behind, that's the very memeable one.
Yes.
That we've all seen the memes of. But if you're a
DEI hire,
but if you're a DEI person, if you're basically, one of these race huckster people, you're going to make this thing about that, right? Yeah. And if you're something else, if you have some other agenda like, public mental health services, you're going to make it about that. So a lot of people, I think, sort of semi-disingenuously try to take any of these types of things and twist it into whatever vector they want it to be in, to serve whatever their stupid agenda is, or agendas, plural. So we're not dealing with just honest actors. So when you're dealing with people and they're actually saying and they really mean what they're saying, okay, that's one thing.
Then it's something you need to actually pay attention to.
Right. So, for instance, if I just was at the store and I ran into somebody and we had a conversation while waiting for the checkout line, I would put more credence in what somebody says to me face to face than what Destiny or one of these other nitwits has to say. Destiny's just a provocateur, best ignored. Don't give him any oxygen at all. So I don't care what he said.
And that's sort of my stance on things, and that I'm trying to get people to, whoever will listen, to understand. If you stop, like, one of the reasons why the corporate media I feel is turning so desperate is because they've lost so much of their viewership. People have stopped paying attention outside of like making fun of them, and people like Destiny, like David Pakman, Kyle Kalinske, all these absolute horrid human beings. Just if you just stop paying attention to them, stop giving them notice, they will eventually just disappear into the ether, and nobody will deal with that now. Even though people are making fun of his whole personal life right now, of his wife leaving him and all that, like, his comments have sort of pushed people's narratives around him to the forefront, instead of having to deal with talking about his personal stuff. And he's also had an uptick in viewers. So when you're saying, oh, well, this person's wrong and here's why, you're still giving him exposure and airtime to just not pay attention to him. He'll eventually fail and have to go get a Mick job. Same thing with like
Did you say Mick job?
Mick job.
Nice.
Yeah. Like
I get it.
what do I call him now? Kitano Ugimata, Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks. Like today he's literally the reincarnation of Rwanda Radio. His company and him specifically literally are calling, not directly but through indirect language, calling for violence on people.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I answered your original question.
No, you did. You did.
Okay.
I see what I said to Harry guys before the channel is like, I'm kind of having a crisis of identity of like, are the feelings I'm feeling like just as bad as the other people, or is there sort of similar sentiment going on around there with my friends who I feel are more rational most of the time, and people whom I actually have value in their opinions, not the opinions of the mainstream media, the chuckleheads on the internet or whatever, even though we're all kind of chuckleheads.
Yeah, well, I'm sometimes a little too hyper rational, so sorry if my answer was a little too sterile for you. I do know that in terms of people's reaction to things, my favorite example of this was after 9/11, people were really uptight, and there was a roast on Comedy Central. I don't even remember who was getting roasted. And Gilbert Gottfried stepped over the line, put one little toe into the post 9/11 era humor line, right?
I remember.
And the crowd just kind of like, you could feel them kind of cringe. He's like, okay, fine, you guys need some loosening up. And he just dove into the aristocrats joke for about 6 or 7 minutes, which is a joke that comedians tell to each other usually, where you just say progressively more and more obscene things involving a talent agent. And that was quite the little icebreaker. Again, the main thing about a comedian in those circumstances is the only thing that's bad is when you're not funny. So I think the jester does get a special place, don't they? In
historical periods, they were considered the only one who could poke fun at the king.
And that's why the communists rounded up those people, the comedians, as one of the first people they rounded up.
Yeah.
In the communist revolution. Yeah.
Communism isn't funny.
Yeah, we'll get to those farmers and with their land soon. But before we do that, let's make sure we take out all the comedians, because we don't want anybody with a past to say whatever they want to say.
Yeah, because Marx thought he was a social psychologist.
Have you spent a lot of time reading about the communist revolution, Serenity? Because it seems like a thing you would know a lot about.
Yeah. Like, I know a lot. I know some stuff that went down. I don't go too far into it because it's one of those things, like, I have a very hardcore incidental memory, but it makes me come off as a creeper. Mm-hmm. And it's not intentional. And the problem is that I know people in my life who are not necessarily communist, but they don't understand anything. And the issue is that I can tie most things back in some ways to most things. I can do a whole big back turnaround into something. And the problem is that if I read too much into it, I'm going to just throw it into conversation when I'm not willing to deal with the idiot responses I'm going to get back. It's that kind of stuff where it's like, well, we should do it because everyone's owed. No one's owed shit. You're not owed anything. Well, no, human beings deserve... No, they don't. If you're unwilling to work, you don't deserve anything. That is the only thing I agree with communism. That's it.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to put some kind of effort in, let me rephrase that. But it's the only thing I agree with communism on. That is it.
Well,
if you're not going to put something into it, don't. So it's that kind of stuff I have where it's kind of like, I also have a very hard time when people talk about, like, my mother worked in healthcare for years. She was on the administrative side. I know more about healthcare than I think a lot of people who talk about healthcare know about healthcare. I know a lot about accounting. I know a tiny bit about technology. It's that whole thing of like, you're making the choice to not do something because you've made the choice not to do something, not because the world is stacked against you, because I've seen people with worse off do better than you with smaller abilities. So, shut up. That's my kind of stance.
Oh my God, the perpetual victim mentality is so insufferable.
Well, it wouldn't, and the thing is, it ties back to, and I agree with a little bit with Functional what he's talking about. Some of the people on the right are getting very. Let me put it this way: their fan bases have gotten too big and made their britches get too big. I haven't.
They've been reading their own press notices.
Yeah, basically.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
There was a person who is very well liked by the right, who basically he made a comment about one thing which I'm kind of indifferent to, but then apparently he whinged about the Sikh prayer that happened at the RNC.
Yeah, that's stupid.
And I was just
I mean, the whinging is stupid.
Yeah, no, I know what you meant.
Well, I just want to be clear.
Yeah, don't mess with the Sikhs.
The
Harry
Sikhs-
likes
the Sikhs are
Sikhs.
awesome.
He likes them a lot.
No, I actually
So do
do.
I.
I do.
I do. I really do.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's the
luckily I'm
thing
not
is-
stealing fruit in Shanghai, but
Oh,
you know,
God.
in 1906.
I've
But
known some
it's-
Sikhs. They're excellent.
but
They'll give you a 50-yard head start.
But that's the thing is like they're whinging about it and they're very Christian, and the thing is like I'm just like this is the wrong hill to die on. This is the wrong thing to die on, and there's a lot of people, provocateurs, everything, who do that. They all pick the wrong hills to die on, and then they die on. Crowder did it. Destiny, it'll be interesting to see if he picks the wrong hill to die on, because right now he's dancing that line. I don't care if he loses. It's like if Kick gave him a 2-week ban. Kick, who will let anyone do anything.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing, is that do I agree with him getting banned? No, because I believe sunlight is the best antiseptic.
Yeah.
Let these people talk their mouths off and dig their own hole, and then people will leave them, because he's actually lost YouTuber subscribers.
Yeah,
He's
give
actually
them enough
lost-
rope and they'll
yeah.
just hang themselves.
And
yeah.
that's
I would
kind of,
really like to see someone actually talk their mouth off.
I think Destiny could do it. I
Yeah,
really
I'd like
do.
to
I
see
think judging from watching the Jordan Peterson interview, I think
Oh
one
my
day his
God.
jaw will just unhinge itself
Yeah.
from his body, going,
Yeah.
I can't handle this anymore. I'm out.
When he was on Piers the other day, he was
God.
visibly like shaking in his chair
Oh,
when he was
yeah.
getting dressed down by Piers, and you know you could see that he's not okay. I think
he's
you know
on
just
stuff.
I hate him as a person, but
Yeah.
human to human, dude, like
He's an
he
addict.
needs to take
He's
a
an
step
addict,
back.
man.
He needs
Well,
to
he-
take
I
a
wasn't
step
gonna
back.
say
needs to
anything
breathe.
about that.
Oh, yeah. he's-
But do you guys think because I think he's a drug abuser. I'm pretty sure he is.
oh, yeah.
Pretty
Well,
sure this guy does a lot of cocaine and meth.
His first
Allegedly.
wife. His
Allegedly. Yeah,
His first wife
I-
has never
just
she's
my
been
opinion.
basically NDA'd because of
Yeah.
the divorce settlement, and because they have a child, so understandably she's
That's part of
protective
accepting
the
her
child.
lovely parting
Yeah.
gifts. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
so,
I don't think
but
it's
she's a
street
leader.
drugs like that. I think it's pharmaceuticals.
Brutal.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, you know,
pharmaceuticals.
speculation.
It's like, wasn't his second wife, wasn't she like a pseudo nurse for a while? I want to say she was, allegedly, but anyway.
What is it? Pseudo nurse.
One of the ones who basically goes to like, who does the
Reiki training and crystals and something.
Well, no.
Or
I'm talking about
naturopathic stuff.
No, I'm talking about like works in an old folks' home but isn't a full-fledged nurse.
Gotcha.
One of those who's
Yeah.
near the drugs and can get near the
Home
drugs,
health
but
aid.
doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh, an orderly or something.
Allegedly. But to speak to what
Allegedly.
Daniel Price said, the issue with the Romanovs is like most of the people of the higher ranking societies, they allowed too much of the control to go to lower ranking people. Well, not lower ranking people. People who were not of the royal line. And God bless the King Romanov, Emperor Romanov, Tsar Romanov, sorry, I can't remember the damn names anymore. He couldn't lead his way out of a paper sack. And it was just his
Talking
own...
about Tsar Nicholas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He couldn't lead his way out of a paper sack, and he handed his duties off to lower ranking ones, including Rasputin and many others. And they're the ones who screwed the economy, which screwed the farmers, which gave the Bolsheviks the ability to get where they were. It's a whole thing. But anyway.
Yeah.
But
Well, there's a parallel you can draw in Egyptian history too, because
Oh, yeah.
most, no single small group of people can run a country of any size. So you
Yeah.
always have some sort of technocrats. Now, whether they're wearing clerical robes or accountants' outfits, it doesn't really matter. In history, they have the same thing. And so anytime you have weak leaders at the top,
Yeah, you're
it
screwed.
creates problems. But that's a tale as old as time.
well, the French Revolution was proof of that. If I have to hear one more goddamn time.
And
The
it's
French
funny.
are really good at revolutions. No, they're not. They suck at them.
We
They're
did a way
terrible
better
at them.
job. We did a way better
Yes, we
job
did. Well-
than they did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause we weren't ideological.
Well, they produced De Gaulle. We produced FDR.
Yeah.
Yeah. Suck it,
about
France.
it.
So can we make fun of other people? So while I've got your attention, so there is there was a thing. Now, I think that if you're going to recommend to people that they watch anime, which we're not recommending, you should not casually do things like this. So this was on Giant Freaking Robot. Now, this is not going to be a long conversation about anime. This is going to be like a 1-minute thing.
I can make this a long conversation.
And so they say one of the most successful anime series in history is on Netflix. So essentially, the point of this.
Naruto.
Naruto,
Yeah.
Wow, it changed because originally when I looked at this, it was a thing about Evangelion. What the hell happened? Because my whole rant was basically, why are you recommending to people that they watch a series that's just going to piss them off at the end? If you're trying to give people an anime gateway drug, don't give them something with a terrible ending.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, nobody
back for more.
Nobody hates Evangelion more than people who've seen Evangelion.
Which is the reason why someone watched the first bit of it, went, I have a feeling I know where this is going, and stopped. That would be me.
But that's the exact reason why even me, as somebody who isn't necessarily an anime fan,
here it is. Sorry,
would recommend something like a Ninja Scroll type movie, Serenity, to whet somebody's palate to say, hey, it's not all weeb trash. There is some genuine art here.
Well, most of it's good. The one I recommend is Vampire Hunter D. That's
okay.
Vampire Hunter D is another one.
All right, but we're not recommending anime right now. The point is that if you're going to be irresponsible and tell people to do things like that, give them something where they're actually going to have a good time and they're not going to come away with it wanting to hit people. Because that's, I wonder if this is just more AI crap that's generating content.
Probably.
Is Jonathan Klotz a real person? Because I'm not so convinced. Because this feels
he might be. He just might be the person writing 10 articles every day through an AI prompt.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I mean, when you can shrink your workforce from 10 people to 1 who just inputs a prompt and like puts it into the thing, like I mean.
Well, I mean, is it CBR? What?
No, Giant Freaking Robot.
Giant Freaking Robot.
I mean, a Giant Freaking Robot didn't have that much of a staff anyway.
Yeah, well, I'm suspicious. It just seems like a bad idea. But I want to make fun of some people. This has been making the rounds. These people at Gallatin University in New York, have you seen the videos of them talking about their concentrations? So they have a program there where in addition to sort of a major, you can sort of pick your own concentration.
This video, there's people who are way too specialized.
These are the people that really want us to forgive their student loans. And, that was the meme I was looking for. Maybe I'll find it while we're doing this. But I wanted to show...
Before you move on, hold on a second. Cannibalistic Wizard, you shut your mouth.
Is he talking about...
No one listened to him. No one listened to him.
Is he talking about the redo of Healer?
Elfin lead. That's all you need to know.
The foremost child-friendly animes are School Days, Boku no Pico, Redo the Healer, and Elfin Lead. No.
I don't know all of those, but I know enough to know that that's no.
No.
Wait, who are you getting mad at?
We're not getting mad at him.
I'm saying don't listen to Cannibalistic Wizard.
Cannibalistic Wizard. Okay.
Don't listen to him.
Yes, he is spreading untruths.
Him ever.
Yeah. Okay, so Gallatin concentrations.
Hi, my name is Nikki. I'm studying Latin American women in visual culture. Yeah. Hi, I'm Melanie. I'm studying the unseen body in creative spaces, erasure and exposure of the queer. Yeah.
See, she can't even say her major. She can't even get through it. She stumbles over it because it's just too stupid.
Hey, I'm Nina, and I studied the arts, education, and social justice.
Yeah. I'm Joyce. I study decolonial intimacies, indigenous politics of resistance. Yeah.
Now, anytime you have a major that's that long that you have to provide
that's not an undergraduate major.
Paragraphs
Those are specialized for undergraduate.
Yeah, if you need a paragraph to describe what your major is, it's kind of not really a real major.
Yeah, you know what my majors were? Anthropology and chemistry. Minor.
I know what those both are.
Yeah. Fuck you. And
design and advertising. I mean, it's
social justice and resistance. My ass.
I know, and there's just a whole bunch of them.
I'm graduating from NYU Gallatin, and my concentration is economic inequality in the U.S. and Caribbean.
And they want to call Trump you a fucking... Sorry, not Trump you, Prager you.
Yeah, so it's $50,000 a year to go to the school.
Jesus Christ! Oh my God, that makes my head
Gallatin is as they put it, the cornerstone of Gallatin School is individualized approach to education. So this is what that means in college speak. is the people who just want to get a degree and they don't want to follow any of our programs, but we just want their money. That's what they are. That's what Gallatin is.
Yeah, Gallatin. This is the one that has the deaf education program. Is that?
I don't think so.
No, you're thinking of Gallaudet.
Yeah, you're thinking
of Gallaudet or whatever.
Gallaudet. That's right.
That's not how they pronounce it. Never mind.
Okay, I'm sorry. I got them mixed up. Old man shouting at clouds.
There's so many schools, Skep. It's understandable.
Yeah. The scariest part, though, is that a lot of these so-called graduates are going to find jobs at other schools in their DEI and equity departments that are bloating the cost of these schools. And I mean,
colleges are about to get very unpopular.
Well, they already are.
There aren't enough.
The ball's rolling, jobs. And it's going to cause a huge crash.
There's not only not enough jobs. There's about to be not enough jobs in a major way. You're going to see shrinkage in the literal number of jobs that are available, even as the economy continues to do better and better. That's a real sociological problem. Nobody
was just in the pool, people. He was just in the pool.
Well, it's one of those things that, to be completely honest, these were the kids that either A, they were going to go work for mommy and daddy, B, had a trust fund, or C, they end up becoming the English teacher program and going across the world to go teach English in other countries. They end up getting their hearts broken, thinking they're going to meet their K-pop idol or meet a K-pop guy and get married. And then they come back here and they work retail or food the rest of their lives. That's what most of these kids are. Because we don't have exactly like this at the university I worked at, but there was enough of them that it was like, y'all ain't gonna do nothing. Or they think they're going to be influencers. And
God,
because these are all, everything they've listed is their BA program, not their MA program. So these guys can't even be professors. Well, they can maybe be TAs for the rest of life.
You just pointed out a very interesting thing. These guys are they're talking about these long majors at the bachelor's level.
Yep.
At the bachelor's level, you're supposed to be accumulating the skills in your field, the basic skills in your field. You in chemistry, you learn, just the very basics in a very general way of a very broad field as an undergraduate, and then you specialize progressively as you get a master's degree and you go PhD. You might study a very specific area of chemistry, and that's pretty typical for every other part of academic training, post high school academic training in the United States and most of the civilized world. Now they're saying, no, we'll let you major in, let's say the way that clay pipes changed during the Civil War, and just the gray clay pipes in Georgia, in southern Georgia. So the gray clay pipes in southern Georgia, that's what I'm majoring in, is the evolution of gray clay pipes in Georgia. And I'm just picking 1 year of Civil War to major in, and so that's going to be 1862.
Yeah, but there's actually some engineering involved in that. A lot of the things these Gallatin young ladies are talking about is just complete bullshit. And if the liberals ruled the world, they would be able to go to school for as long as it took for them to graduate.
They want Denmark.
They want all this shit to be free. And I like the fact that the market just says, outside of a small number of academics that we need to just keep the academy going, unless your job serves some sort of function, you better be rich if you want to do this.
And you shouldn't get an ounce, a fucking penny of any government-backed student loans.
Yeah.
If government has any involvement in any of these student loans, there should be that direct outcome of translatable skill.
Yeah.
Question?
Okay. I have one comment to make really quickly, though.
Go for it.
But I was just going to say, the only caveat here would be, if they limited the number of people, there was somehow some process where, it's totally useless and we don't need this for society, but we're only going to have like the 100 best of these people each year admitted into the program. we as a society can certainly afford to do that. What we can't afford is for people to self-select themselves into some sort of university, and there just be no barrier to stopping them, because there's nothing stopping anybody from just choosing to attend one of these things, and they'll just take your money. They're not going to kick you out. Yeah, and I don't want the taxpayers, meaning me, be on the hook for this crap, because there isn't enough money in the world to pay for this shit. What's your question?
So Gallatin has apparently been around for a very long time, but it was under another name in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious about the people who were alive and conscious during the 70s remember it. It was called the University Without Walls.
That sounds familiar, but I didn't know they were the same
Skep?
thing.
Does that ring a bell for you? Because that's what Gallatin came out of. It was 1972. The University Without Walls was founded, marking the beginning of the Gallatin School's history. To be fair, they've been around for over 50 years at this point, 52, and they only graduate about 200 students a year.
Skep, do you think this is like the product of some sort of Algonquin roundtable circle jerk?
Very, very likely. You know, the problem is that people, when they go into college, they're supposed to have knowledge and skills at a certain level. When they come out, they're supposed to have improved. You know, you're supposed to have accumulated some advanced skills. These are basic skills, but they're more advanced skills. You know, I didn't study calculus until I went to college. My high school did not have calculus. They had analytic geometry and, you know, some of the other stuff. But I came out of college with an understanding of with skills in chemistry and math, anthropology, nutrition, art appreciation. You know, I had a full-bodied liberal education, classic liberal education that it was so valuable to me, and it is so valuable on so many different levels. Plus, it became the basis for how I went forward to, you know, continue to learn, and it served me well in graduate school, for example. And in my various careers, and my wanderlust, my professional wanderlust, it provided me the tools that I needed to survive, not only survive but thrive in a number of challenging areas. But it was hard.
Yeah, it's
College
supposed to be.
College was not easy for me. College was not easy for me. I had to work hard, and I hated a lot of the hard work when I was doing it. I was reading a paper I wrote senior year in 1973, October of 1973. I wrote this paper, and it's still a damn good paper. It's an excellent, dissertation on some, tribe and the way that they do law in Papua New Guinea. The upshot of all this is that by senior year, I had skills that, I could write a discussion about ethnographies, about different places, and actually have it make sense. It's something that anybody who wanted to know about these people in this particular aspect of their culture would get a lot out of it. I'm very proud of that, and that's not a skill I had when I went to college. I'm not convinced that these people are graduating college with any more skills than they entered in with. They can't do anything more when they leave than they could when they entered. They're just older.
But you can detect
got
the
about 3 or 4
self-esteem.
more STDs.
No, they've got
Pardon me?
so much self-esteem, though.
I did get a lot of self-esteem.
No, but they have
from
self-esteem,
doing that.
more self-esteem, and also, like Functional said, more STDs.
Well, that's the other thing, is they get self-esteem for things that shouldn't give self-esteem, and that's a very dangerous lesson. That's almost like poisoning their vocational persona. That really puts people back when you say, hey, you don't really have to work hard. You don't have, hard work doesn't pay off. You just got to be in the right place, the right time, be the right person, say the right things, have the right political views, and things will go well for you. It's a terrible lesson to learn, and that's what the universities are teaching.
Well, you don't need school and stuff. You just start a podcast. So guess who has a new podcast?
Who?
Here's a new podcast. Gavin Newsom launches podcast with NFL legend Marshawn Lynch.
Really?
Yeah.
Marshawn Lynch.
This is going to be fantastic. Do you think this is going to help Gavin with his not campaigning for the black vote?
Exactly.
Is that even what we're calling it now? Is it the black vote or the vote of color? I don't even know what I'm supposed to say at this point. But okay, as long as everybody understands me. Yeah, I mean, Gavin Newsom is just so supercilious. I can't deal with him.
I'm going to try a really stupid. He's a football player.
He's a football player.
Okay, I didn't know who that was.
Legend?
Yeah, NFL legend.
He's the beast mode guy, right? He's beast mode.
Yeah,
he's beast mode. Okay.
Oh, he plays for the Seahawks. That's the reason why I don't know who the
Unironically, yes, I do think it's going to help his campaign, not campaign. You know why? Because right now, touching the nomination would be political suicide for whoever stepped into those shoes.
Yeah.
However, people like him and Bitchmer, they need to start getting their name into the public space.
I usually go
that
Twitmer.
When the next cycle comes around, they can start vying for that position, because nobody right now wants to come within 20 feet of Joe Biden or the nomination, because it would just, there's no way that person would get buried, is going to get buried so hard and so fast, and there is no rebounding from that potential sort of undertaking. So if they can just get it out there, the name is all that's important out there. People are going to start paying attention. His name is going to spread. You know, the podcast, blah, 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 blah. You know, is it going to pay dividends? We don't know yet. We don't know who the opposition's going to be when he fills that spot. And I definitely think he's next in line.
Oh, yeah. Well,
because he's a DNC darling.
Well, that's what we're being told, right? The same people that are telling us that, you know, Biden's going to step down and all these things are going to happen. I mean, at the moment, in terms of the polls, Biden still polls better than anybody else.
Yes.
So I don't know how this is supposed to play out. But, you know, it's the Democrats' problem. I'm not one of them. You do whatever you're going to do, Democrats. Just, you know, nominate whoever the hell you want to nominate. I don't care. That is your problem. That's a you problem, Democrats. You just figure your shit out. And we're all going to laugh at you regardless of what you do, because it's going to be stupid. But
because regardless of party, like, you should be voting for whoever has the best platform, their best message, you know, like, and who is clearly competent. Like, I mean, there's that level too, of course. But
no.
I don't agree with people who are just like, oh, I'm going to vote red or blue because that's what I will always do. It never made any sense to me, and I've switched back and forth and at different levels of government, all depending on who I think has the best message. Ideally, most of the time it's just, well, I hate the other guy so much that I'm going to just default to this person here.
Yeah, voting against people instead of for people, that's so much
reality
fun
these days.
So, Serenity,
Yo.
What kind of article would you like next? What sort of thing would you like? Would you like something serious? Would you like a palate cleanser? Just tell me what you want, and I will try to deliver it.
Well, the problem is that I take care of doggies, so you're on your own.
Uh-oh.
You're going to take care of dogs now?
Pick a number from 1 to
Oh, crap.
Yep, it's 12:30 where I am.
Go
Pick
take care of dogs.
1 to 5.
Okay.
1 to 5.
All right,
Serenity,
well,
1 to
let's
5.
talk about people who think they are above the law.
Oh, please.
Okay.
The city of Cleveland has just now released body cam video of police response to Mayor Justin Bibb's car accident from last week.
This is the mayor's vehicle. What mayor? Our mayor.
You can hear the mayor's drivers say he was in a hurry trying to get Mayor Bibb to an emergency meeting. We asked the city, well, what was that meeting? They said it was related to the recent cyber attack on City Hall. We also asked the spokesperson, hey, did the mayor tell him to go through the light? And she said no. Also in the video, you can see that there are various people redacted, like the mayor's driver, like the mayor himself, but the other driver who had the green light and went through and hit the mayor's car, his face can be seen all over the city's video.
Yeah, as far as we know, there was no meeting. It's just like, I'm the mayor, blow through the light. It'll be fine. Right. It'll be fine. What's the worst that can happen? We'll just make up some sort of bullshit excuse after the fact.
That's what this smells like.
Okay, and here's something a little more local. It's the sheriff of Monterey County.
Sorry, where was that?
Oh, Cleveland.
What was Cleveland? Okay.
Cleveland. So here's one from the Central Coast. Monterey County Sheriff Tina Shemp faces criticism for repeated speeding incidents. On several occasions now, she has been clocked doing over 90 miles per hour, like 95. No lights, no siren, wasn't even on duty in some cases. She just had places she needed to be.
Yeah.
And the highway patrol, because nobody likes the amount of paperwork and headache that's going to be involved in this sort of stuff, just keeps letting her go. So September 2023, here's an incident, and we've got the video camera. September 2023, the sheriff was stopped for speeding and reckless driving. Officer, I stopped you for initially when you passed me, you were at 95, and then you were in and out of traffic still up to about 90. Okay.
Good.
No citation, just, let her off. March 2024. Again, with the 90 plus miles per hour, 95. Okay, at least she never goes into triple digits, right? This is not a problem. But she's the sheriff of Monterey County, so, I'm not going to issue a citation. This is the second time I've stopped you for your speed. I don't know what, it's going to take to slow you down, but next time you're obviously speeding and you're not going to an emergency, it's going to be a little bit different, okay? Then May 2024, she's still doing it. What the hell is wrong with these people? It's
not going to be funny when she plows in to a station wagon full of kids.
Yeah, cutting in and out of traffic in the 90 mile per hour range is ludicrous.
Yes.
And what do you do? What do you do about something like this? I mean, you see these videos, these police watch videos where every now and then they'll go in and they'll arrest a sheriff because the sheriff is just a piece of shit, right?
Yeah.
And which kind of gives me pause because I like the idea of a sheriff, being elected, right? So they're sort of accountable to the voters as opposed to just like a police force that short of getting rid of the mayor and other people, you really can't do much about them directly. But at the same time, it does allow for some bad stuff to happen. But
like that,
I want to show you, since we're talking about sheriffs, I found this thing, and now maybe this is something that everybody knows about, and I'm just late to the party. That happens a lot. But I think this guy, his name is Grady Judd. And Grady Judd is a Florida sheriff, and he's got to be the funniest sheriff in all of America. So here's a little clip of him. He's my new favorite person this week.
See, we asked him about this, and he said, well, because I have this safety pin here, we thought maybe it was for big underwear or something. He
it's
said,
a biker
when you
jacket he's holding.
This, you're sending a message to all the other different motorcycle gangs that you're just passing through and you're peaceful and you don't want any problem. So he had his diaper pin, so he didn't want any problems, but he got problems. But he told our undercover, there's rules about this jacket. The rule is that, well, no one is supposed to touch this jacket, okay, but the member, you see, no one.
He's just patting it.
See, we asked him about this.
Now, the thing is, you might think this is just sort of a one-off, but he does these things every day. Like, here's his basically daily.
We need something lighter for a minute.
Thing where he talks about
there are times in this job and career that it has to be true because you can't even make it up.
Yeah, so he tells little stories, which I just
turns them into vignettes.
So there was, that's like a daily thing. Here's a little story,
right?
Part of one.
Pierre.
Seems like he's
in 2013 got out of prison
Yep.
after doing 4 years for robbery and burglary and child neglect. So let me take them off the page for a minute, because on that particular night of this event at their trap house, this all happened at the Weed House. Pierre was in a short-term rental up at the northeast area of the county, so he went directly.
It's like a whole little story. He tells stories about them, mocks them for not having jobs.
It's some of the most watchable TV on YouTube.
This thing is like 14 minutes long, and I would love to just... I actually forget that I'm streaming. I find myself being just sucked in
Get drawn
to the story, and it's like, oh, I'm supposed to be hosting a show right now, not listening to Sheriff Judd. But yeah, if you guys go online and look up Grady Judd, 90% of what he puts out is gold. It's just... it's
the
fantastic.
Light he takes when he says, now this man is no longer with us. He is he's having a conversation with St. Peter now.
Yeah. He's a good guy. So he's telling this story, by the way. The story is great because essentially the woman in the middle wanted to buy an illegal gun, but she's a convicted felon, so she can't have a gun. So she ends up buying a gun from the guy who's like second to the left. Now, the guy who's second to the left's thinking, hey, I want to get me some after he's already sold this woman the gun. So he and the 15-year-old on the far left decide to go see this woman. Well, the guy on the far left thinks, hey, I think maybe it'd be fun to rob this woman. But he seemed to forget the fact that his buddy had just sold her an illegal handgun. Now, the sheriff tells this whole story way better than I ever could. This guy is eminently entertaining. I think he's just fantastic. So I recommend Grady Judd. I want to recommend one other thing, too.
And he's the sheriff of Tampa?
I don't know where. Well, this is a Tampa station. I'm not sure which county he's the sheriff of. I just know his name is Grady Judd.
Okay.
Let me see. I was going to recommend something else. It's a channel.
Kind of reminds me of you, Skep. With your entertaining stories, but they always have like...
Well, they're trying to have a point.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I just I spend a lot of time talking to children, and you learn to lay out whatever you're trying to teach, or what you got to make it interesting for them, or they will turn you off in a second.
If you want to learn how the sausage is made in terms of the electricity that's delivered to your wall, this guy is involved in that business, keeping generators and power plants actually running.
You mean it just doesn't come from the wall?
It doesn't. It's not. It's just not. He tells you where the magic smoke comes from. Okay, originally. So and he does it with a bit of a sense of humor, which I like. So I recommend this guy.
Want to see something cool? I'm going to show you this so I can show you something even cooler later. Arlo Guthrie understands. This is an oil temperature indicator from a big transformer. And before you even comment, sure, if you're brave enough, the temp range is even right, and it does indeed have a flared base. Since oil is used not just for insulation, but cooling as well, knowing how hot it is tells us things about the operating state and health of the transformer. Fancy ones have remote monitoring and alarms and such, but I'm low budget, and we're not allowed to play with nice things since the thermite incident. But, much like myself, just because it's old and ugly doesn't mean it doesn't have a couple tricks up its sleeve. This gauge can not only tell us the current temp, it can tell us how hot it got since the last time we looked. It's called a tattletale gauge. As it heats up, the white needle carries the red one along with it. As things cool, the red one stays put. It's stupid simple, but this tech has been used for generations because it's cheap, useful, and hard to screw up. And that's pretty cool.
His whole channel is great because he does things like shows you how like old ass generators work. He explains how three-phase power works. He explains how transformers work. All sorts of things involved with like the making of power. And I think he's actually pretty damn entertaining. So the name of the channel is Physics Duck. I totally recommend it. It's not anything to be taken too terribly seriously, and you will actually learn something.
You know, the good part of the internet.
Everyone knows it's gnomes that live in the alley. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. The electricity gnomes.
Yeah. Well, actually, the whole three-phase, one-phase thing is hard to explain to people. Like when I set up all that new stuff, that new equipment, I asked for single-phase PDUs, and everybody's like, why aren't you using three-phase PDUs? It's like, I don't want to explain this to you people. Probably because it's like... It's way less expensive, but there's things, the way that power works and why it's three-phase because of the way the armatures are wound on the generators it's kind of interesting. Knowing how stuff works instead of just taking it for granted is pretty fun sometimes. And this is a pretty painless way to actually get into that thing. So,
fun and useful.
Yeah. No, it's a good channel. So give the guy some views. Okay, so we made fun of Gallatin. I told you about that stupid anime thing. I told you about a new channel. introduced you to Sheriff Grady Judd. See, I'm waiting for Sora to show up for the Canada stuff because I want to make fun of Canada a little bit.
Yeah. And Bib, just as a side note, it just occurred to me. I read some stuff about him not too long ago. He former worker of NGO.
Mm-hmm.
Shocking. And his campaign was campaigning on like public safety and stuff, and to blazingly do that kind of nonsense. It's a double fuck you for me.
Well, since I've got your attention, Functional, how about this little thing about Ryan Reynolds? He sure pretends to be a nice guy, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know if he actually is or not, or whether it's all just PR. I mean, Blake Lively puts up with him, so he can't be all bad. But he basically was telling the story of when he was trying to make Deadpool, the first one in that whole series. There wasn't enough money around to basically hire the writers he needed. So in order to keep things moving, he's like, I don't really care about my salary.
Yeah.
And
I heard about that. That was pretty. And because of the massive success of that, and then subsequently the second movie, and maybe with the third movie, everybody's saying, "Oh, this." Even people like Drinker and Nerdrotic are saying this might actually be enough to, or this might be the ignition that rekindles the flame that was once Marvel. I doubt it because it's sold. But anyway, it actually ended up paying in the long run for him. So he eventually did get paid because he believed in this project. And I mean, I haven't seen anything or heard anything to make me think otherwise about him as a person.
Yeah, it's smart business.
Even with so many people, you hear maybe the one-off story that you might not take much stock into, but you hear stories about how this person or that person was kind of a dick this one time, and but I'd never heard anything about that with him. So, I'm shrugging my shoulders, going, okay,
yeah,
seems
maybe
like
he's a decent guy, but business wise, it's like. I think a first movie where you get that much control is almost like having a startup. You really have to pour your soul into it and invest money, because when you're not
believed in it.
Well, when you're not like an established property, an established IP in the movie business, you might need to make some sacrifices to essentially get ahead. Because
start that ball rolling, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so it's a lot like having a startup, and sometimes it's smart to invest in yourself because that's really what you're doing.
Yes.
So was it the first Matrix where nothing like this, but like it was
Daniel Price is saying first John Wick.
They weren't expecting it to be as big as it was, and then it paid off like really massively for them. So it was good for the Wachowski brothers.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, but Keanu's just like he's such a mensch. I mean, like I've seen him on the subway before. Before he became like massively big, but shortly enough after Bill and Ted's that he was, recognizable. But he's a different breed of human being.
Yeah. So on a completely different note, did you know?
Were right, Daniel? It was John Wick. Yeah.
Did you know that almost all ice cream truck music is controlled by one company?
I did know that.
I didn't.
I did not know that.
Because I found out about that a couple of years ago.
It would seem like that would be fairly obvious since they all sound the damn same.
They do.
Although
I thought there was a conspiracy with Big Ice Cream or something.
There have been problems because some of the companies wanted to use different music, but then somebody got upset or something. I don't know. I don't have it was something I read like I said 2 years ago, and that's how I found out that the majority of the music is owned by a company.
I think
has to be leased out to these companies who run these trucks.
Yeah, well, it's a public performance, so they're going to get their little licensing mitts in it. I think the thing about ice cream trucks is, other than they teach little kids how to count their change and and pay attention, there's things you have to do, right, to procure your ice cream, but it also teaches them about Doppler shift, because I think the first time most people encounter a Doppler shift is with the ice cream truck. Thing sure sounds funny as it's driving away. Essentially, as it's driving toward them, the pitch of the music gets higher, and as it's driving away, the pitch of the music gets lower. So that's, I think most people, if it isn't like a train that teaches them, hearing the train whistle as the train goes by, it's probably the ice cream truck, because the music sounds really, really odd as the truck is driving away, which is impressive considering ice cream trucks do not drive very fast.
Never thought of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Doppler shift. Sure, why not? All right. There is a same publication. McDonald's drive-thru in Guantanamo Bay may be a cursed idea, but the food is apparently delicious. I guess Skep, since they have, it's just the little piece of Western stuff that's there, right? They've got some contract with the government to put this McDonald's there to make the service people feel more at home. But of course, they tweak the offerings because there isn't a lot of competition. So you give them things you wouldn't normally get at a McDonald's in other places because there's only so many places you can put a fast food place. I mean, that just makes sense to me that the military would do that. If you're stationed in Guantanamo Bay, you don't want to feel completely homesick. So I think this would be like going to Denny's if you're in Tokyo.
So does the article tell you what's different at the Gitmo?
Yeah, what do they have additionally?
Because I know
at Gitmo, because I didn't know about this.
Yeah, well, it says
because I know the ones in Europe, like the ones in the UK, have different offerings than the ones in like India, like so.
Well, in Singapore too.
Yeah, everywhere. Like depending on the local culture, they change their menu. But I'm wondering what's different about.
Yeah, so it says so this is the review person writes. He's saying. She ordered a spicy chicken sandwich, French fries, and wings. So they have wings at this McDonald's.
Okay.
They know this. Yes, the McDonald's in Guantanamo Bay sells wings. I love that so much. The wings are packaged in a 20-piece McNugget box, which is sort of strange, but no one cares. She opens the box up and is greeted about a half dozen truly legit-looking wings. So they have like this localized menu there.
I'm glad they have them because Gitmo is really hard on those guys. You talk to somebody who's serve
I would eat that
on base.
Oh man, that looks
on
good.
base compliment. Man, that's an 18-month. When I was in the service, that was an 18-month tour, and it was considered a hardship tour. It's you get real bored and get cabin fever terribly. They say it's as bad as Diego Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, chicken wings are a very North American sort of cuisine. They're not really so. For somebody stationed elsewhere, and especially like you're saying, hard and Gitmo, something like wings could be a special treat. A taste
that's real
of home.
special. Yeah, that's real important to them.
Yeah, I want chicken wings right now, and I'm not even hungry. Which is
I want those
sad.
wings. Like, she's obviously not a big person, but like one of those wings was like the size of her fist.
Yeah. No, she's just a little
Those
thing.
are some juicy wings.
Actually, she's very adorable and freshly scrubbed and all that sort of stuff.
Yes, she is. And
she looks like she grew up in my mind. I'm thinking she was born in Iowa, and she's like playing in the cornfield or something.
Not her fist, but like, that's still a big wing.
Yeah,
a meaty wing.
No,
and
it's fun.
She's a service person too, so she's double dipping. She's making a career out of her TikTok, and
she's serving her country. I don't care if she does a little TikTok on the side. Nobody's dying like some of the people that are being ignored.
I was just about to say with the fucking nurses.
Yeah. Oh well. So Guantanamo Bay apparently has a really good McDonald's. You should go check it out. But don't do the things that would get you sent there.
I want to get just a quick blurb in before we move on. I do not support the idea of service people doing TikTok videos or any other kind of videos. I would really like to see our services return to military bearing. The military is not high school. It's not college. It's not a place to play around. It's a place to do deadly serious things. And what you're supposed to be focused on is getting better at what you do to save your own life, save the life of your compatriots, and prevail against the enemy. That is your job in the military. It's not to have good morale or make TikToks or anything else. You are there to be disciplined and work hard. It's not to say you don't take time off and rest and get time away, but there's an attitude in the military that I'm very uncomfortable with right now, and it's and this is a relatively benign seeming aspect of that lack of military bearing that has taken over our services, but I hate to see it, and I think it degrades our readiness, and it just speaks poorly for the way we can conduct ourselves. I hate to see a general get up and say, "I want to find out about white rage." Fuck you. Get in a tank and kill something for our country. That's your job. And God damn it, if you're not doing that, then you should be practicing.
You've convinced me, and I'll tell you why. Because we jokingly say about the nurses, but they were my main problem. What was the fact that they were on the clock? And you bring up a very good point that and I'm making a little bit of addition here. When you are a service person in the service, you are, air quotes, on the clock 24/7 until your tour is done, correct?
Yep.
So then I definitely agree with you, even though
you're not off duty. You're never off duty. So
yeah, even though she's on her downtime, able to go to McDonald's, she's not off duty. She's still on the clock. She's still a member of the service, and that's yes. I agree.
You'll have a discharge certificate that says when you're off the clock.
Because it comes from the top, like you said, when they I want to fight about white rage, and they're doing TikToks and stupid shit like that. It rolls downhill and it degrades the quality of the service. So yeah, you just changed my mind.
Okay, we need something nice.
I did change mine.
Okay.
Change mine. I don't give a shit. I never
Serenity.
Give a shit.
I know something you will care about.
Okay.
Okay. Shocked fisherman rescues 38 dogs they find treading water in Mississippi Lake.
God bless you, sir.
So here's just a video about
Only
it.
40 dogs were close to drowning on a Mississippi lake, but some fishermen made quite the catch. So the hound dogs had plunged into the lake while chasing a deer during a fox hunt, but became disoriented.
Yeah, basically they got all worked up about chasing a deer, and they ended up in a lake and got very tired and lost.
And unable to return to shore. The men say the dogs had probably been in the water for close to 15 to 20 minutes before they came across them, but they quickly started hauling them aboard their boat. They had to make 3 trips to the shore because there were too many dogs to fit on their small fisherman boat. By the time the last group was rescued, they'd been in the water for about an hour, but they say all 38 dogs made it back to shore safely.
So you feel good now?
Did I just blank out? How did they get in the water?
They're chasing a deer.
And the deer, if they're being chased by a predator, especially down south, because there's so much water, they'll chase a deer.
I get that part, but like 38 dogs, like how did they get there?
The fox hounding packs are huge. They're
okay.
50.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
They're
I thought they had
100.
like 1 or 2 dogs. That
No. Fox hunting packs are huge.
Those some good-looking dogs.
They are, but you can tell they're trainees because they have their numbers painted on them. These are very young, newly trained dogs.
I was going to ask what the numbers were.
It's just way the at quick sight.
That's their calorie count.
Especially if it's a new handler or a young handler in training as well, because they'll very often train the handler and the dogs at the same time.
So they'll know like 620 is doing well here, but 101 is needs some work.
Or the other thing is they will also mark them for auctioning. Which they will mark them for auctioning for breed stock and take videos or allow the people to go out fox hunting with them to watch the dogs. I think most of these dogs are probably not going to get for breeding rights in a couple, if not for another few years. But because of that, because if they're properly trained, mind you, none of those look like American foxhounds. So I don't think they're actual legit fox hounding dogs. But if they're well trained,
what breed are those?
Those look like all different types. Like one of them looks like it may be a poodle.
Yeah, the one on the right there's definitely got some poodle in them.
Some look beagle-ish.
Now, mind you, poodles are actually good hunting dogs. I will say that. I've had poodles in the past. And they're also good water dogs, which is probably the only reason why they were able to tread water. But they are trained that they are to stop at the water until a handler comes along. These ones very obviously have not been trained that way.
No.
At least all the ones I know of are trained to unless they can see the other side, they are trained to not do it. And it's
Poodles
the Mississippi.
Are smart.
There's no way in hell.
Poodles are smart enough. They'll say, "I'm not going in the water."
They will, and they're like humans in the fact that they will if it's just them or like a very small number. But if it's a large number of dogs, they get hyped up
in there. Yeah,
and they'll just go with them because that's what they are. Because that's just how they are. They get really woo, and then they just go.
Yeah, they're really good work dogs.
Tell you're a dog person. You understand how dogs, that mass psychology. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And Daniel, the thing is, if you look up a picture of the American Foxhound, it has a little bit of a beagle look to it, and especially in that grainy of a picture.
Yeah.
They could have beagle in them, but a lot of them look like they may have at least a tiny bit of either what's your god dog? Your god dog's German pointer and something else, Harry?
English pointer.
English pointer. It looks like they have English pointer in them too.
Yeah. A lot of sporting dogs have that kind of color scheme, but it's not quite the right shape for beagles. They look a little big for beagles.
Yeah, that's the thing. There were beagle heads, but they were on bigger dogs. So
well, American Foxhound, because there's different branches to them. Some of the American Foxhound branches they have a beagle-esque head. The American Foxhound is taller than the English Foxhound, though.
I was hoping I could get a clearer picture, but I can't.
Yeah.
My guess would be, Serenity, that maybe they're trying out new mixes.
They usually do.
Yeah.
The only ones who keep the bloodlines pure anymore are the English. Americans, we've never given a shit. We
No, because you're trying to always innovate and do better.
Well, it's
so
like
if somebody comes across this, like, let's say, American Foxhound Poodle mix that bloodline starts working very well for the task at hand, they will continue to keep that going.
Well, if you look at like 19 in the far background, the picture's so grainy I can't tell, but it looks like it's that Wiesla color. Like there's one in the front that's right over like the center hump that's just brown and black. That looks like a Gordon Setter mix. There's a couple of them that look like judging how short they are, they may have basset in them. These may just be the redneck fox hunting dogs, where it's just like, you got them, they got a nose, let's do this shit. All right, here we go.
Good job, dogs.
Yeah.
Good job,
fishermen. Good job, fishermen. God bless your souls.
Save the puppers.
Yeah.
So
that was a shock, though. It's like, Robbie, we hunting for catfish? Yeah? Well, I got dogfish, and there's about 20 plus of them. I don't know where the hell we is.
Yeah. Well, see, we're running kind of low on time here. I don't think Sora is going to make it. I was kind of hoping that she was going to make it, but she's probably running late.
She's having good food. That's all that matters. So.
That's good. Well, like I said, I try to live vicariously through her as much as possible. But I think we have to make a little bit of fun of your country, functional, just a little tiny bit.
Oh, man.
Yeah. What the hell is going on with your banknotes? You have a vertical $10 bill now?
And who is that on the picture?
It's appearing cash transaction. The new banknote was issued into circulation November 19th and is now making its way into financial institutions.
It looks like a ticket.
Yeah.
It's a coupon.
Viola Desmond.
Yeah, some Blackie McBlackerson who was some footnote of.
She's got a legacy of human rights and social justice in Canada.
Exactly. Who replaced John McDonald, who is an actual Canadian fucking hero.
Oh, she's a Canadian Rosa Parks. She refused. What I mean is she refused to leave the white area. Air quotes refused. It's only area at the Rosalind Theater. She looks white.
See, apparently we've got a YouTube thing. 41 minutes. We are definitely not watching 41 minutes of this crap. All I want to do is get a clear picture of this stupid bill. Blah, blah, blah.
Of the retailers.
I mean,
the retailers who
I've
handle
always
the
liked
notes.
our money because of the coloration system.
Because after all the hard work.
Just from your wad, like I've got 20s, 10s, 5s, whatever.
She looks white.
But the new ones, she basically is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vertical bills are dumb. I'm just gonna say it. Your country is wrong
They
this time.
suck.
Disavow your country, functional.
Ran by a fucking feminist.
Disavow. Just
it's
kidding.
So fucking awful.
You don't have to disavow your country just because their money is stupid.
I still love my country. I just fucking hate the people in charge.
I'm only kidding. I don't want you to disavow your
Black
country.
Nova Scotia has its own flag.
Yep.
That sounds fantastic.
American African Americans have their own flag. Look it up.
But don't worry. We'll just become India.
Oh.
Okay.
So, you're in good company, functional because want to know who else has vertical banknotes? Bermuda and Kazakhstan.
Oh, joy.
Oh, Switzerland does too.
You know,
that's not too bad.
you know the joke, the meme about like, hello tech support.
Yeah.
Most of that's here now.
That's the accent I'm not allowed to do.
You're not calling. You're
Hey,
not
you're not allowed to do
actually
that, Harry.
calling India. You're now calling Canada.
So they know so they have no excuse for not knowing how to speak English. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with an Indian guy, if you can get them to actually say "Holy cow," you know you've really pulled something off.
Like,
I know.
Holy cow!
Holy cow.
Holy cow!
I've never
Every
seen so
time
many
I would-
hours on a time card.
The holy cow
Something
is
was-
holy.
It was something that was said to a friend of mine. All right.
Problem was, every time I would go to the States, it's like I never knew what I had in my wallet. I just knew that there was this fold of green, and I'd have to like open it up and look and be like, is that a 10 or a 100? Oh, okay, that's only a 10. I need a, like, it got kind of annoying. I wish there was more of a distinctiveness in it.
Okay.
Although, like, honestly, who handles cash very much anymore?
I
apropos-
live in a cash state.
Apropos of nothing functional, you're aware of how they make fun of World Star Hip Hop because everybody always shoots in portrait mode. Just saying, it has nothing to do with what's happening here. Clearly, there's no connection between the vertical money with Viola on it and what I just asked you about. So
Right.
nobody read any sort of impure motives.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah. So here's some international.
Viola Davis was convicted of tax evasion, though.
Oh, good.
She was pardoned in 2010, I believe.
Yeah.
Again, our prime minister.
She died in 1965, but she was pardoned in 2000.
Sexually
Nice.
assaulting drama teacher. Our Ministry of Finance is a complete fucking retard, and our Environment Minister is a former eco-terrorist. So, I mean, again, you want to say how bad like some of the people in your system are. Ours are still worse.
Well, hey, just feel good about the fact that neither of us live in a country where David Lammy is in charge of anything. Okay.
You know what? That's something we can come together.
We can all
for
agree on the
sure.
fact that as bad as things are in Canada and the United States, at least David Lammy isn't in charge of anything in either of our countries.
Thank you, Jesus Jesus Christos.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to save that because Sora's going to like that. We want to save stuff. We talked. Oh, I do think that you probably like Betty White, don't you, Serenity?
Oh yeah, I love Betty White.
Yeah. So I didn't realize that in the Golden Girls, because I didn't watch the Golden Girls because I wasn't their demographic. That
you
How
garbage
dare
human
you.
being.
I know.
You
Apparently,
watch anime. No.
I don't watch
this
anime.
Is serious. This is serious.
do you want to hear
have the
Betty White or
time
not, or
in
do you want to
your-
just
in your fucking
talk?
life to watch
just
anime?
mute him
but
and
you've
let's hear
never
about Betty
seen the
White.
Golden Girls. What the hell?
I
is
didn't say
wrong
I've never seen it. I said I didn't watch it. There's a
All right.
difference.
Okay, Betty
Okay.
White, Golden Girls. Moving on.
Exactly. The
I love
Johansons
this.
wanted to
This is
pickle the herring, and the Lindstroms wanted to train him for the circus. Weren't they kind of hard to see riding on the elephants? Oh, not that kind of circus. A herring circus. Sort of like SeaWorld, only smaller. Much, much smaller. But bigger than a flea circus.
Tell me, Rose, did they ever shoot a herring out of a cannon?
Like Tim
Only
Conway
once.
and Carol
This,
my God.
this just felt like we needed something like that to end the,
Betty
end the
Betty
show
White
on.
was thinking that up, just riffing.
Yeah, let's
She
just
was
see where this
riffing.
goes. There's a lot of different kinds of comedy in the world, and I kind of like them all.
Yeah.
You
God
know,
bless Betty
You
White.
can you can always tell when comedy is good because it makes you laugh.
But before we say our goodbyes, apparently one of my dogs is having a panic attack, so I will say bye, chat now.
Okay.
Bye, chat. I'll probably be back after the show.
okay, good.
Good.
And as amazing as Betty White is, I'm a Bea Arthur man.
Well,
You
I'll
don't
explain
have
to you why
pick
you're
one.
wrong later.
You don't have to pick one.
No, it's
No,
fine.
you don't
it's
have
fine.
to pick one.
It's personal preference.
She was just my favorite in the show, probably because she reminded me so much of my aunt.
See, I have baggage with Bea Arthur because MotZ was such a terrible show, and
MotZ.
Oh,
The only thing I've actually seen her in outside of movies.
we're talking about Bea Arthur.
Bea Arthur. Yeah.
Here, let me help you. You talk amongst yourselves for a moment.
Are you going to get us something of Bea Arthur being irritating?
Now, I'm going to show you something that's going to change your opinion of Bea Arthur.
Above all
like
else,
her?
it was the interaction of the three that made that magic. Like it wasn't. I would safely say it wasn't any one of the three. It was the three of them together that made.
Okay.
Just gold.
Here's my problem. Here's my problem with Bea Arthur. She was in a remake of Faulty Towers that was on an American remake of
I
Faulty
remember
Towers.
that. That was garbage.
Amanda's Place. Beatrice Arthur.
See, okay, come. Have a wonderful day, and please, if there is...
This just makes me want to punch people in the dick. This is the worst thing, one of the worst things that's ever been made. I can't cope with how bad this is. Her pretending to be Basil Fawlty, and the lines just don't work. Some of them are even copied verbatim, and it just does not work at all.
So it was almost like a direct copy of Faulty Towers.
Well, here.
Anything
I don't
that you should
remember
want,
it,
you can
like-
take a flying leap.
Well, look, there's like Manuel,
I said,
basically.
Have a wonderful sleep.
It's not funny. It's painfully not funny.
I've seen an episode or two, and yeah, I agree with you. I just didn't know. I just didn't know it was that much of a copy of Faulty Towers because I saw them too far apart.
It's more of a copy of Faulty Towers than Sanford and Son is of Steptoe and something. I can't remember what the English one was. It's a bad translation. It's like you took it, translated it into Japanese, and then translated it back into English. Yeah, it was pretty terrible.
Although the British can barely speak English. It's
Hey, I like
it's
the
funny
British.
because It's funny that you mentioned what you did because now since you've shown it to me, I saw it before that, but the Sanford and Son with Trump and Nancy, I now watch that. Like watch it at least once every couple days because it's just so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've got another thing I could show you, but I think I should save it for another time because it's just too good to kind of throw in at the end of the show. So, shall we call it?
Tantalizing.
Yeah. You know, it's amazing that we've been talking for this long, and there's still things which I haven't, still things that I have that I like, that are like my all-time favorites that haven't come out yet. So how long is it going to take before I run out of stuff to say? I don't know.
Probably never happen.
You'll be 6 feet under.
I don't know.
Yeah,
You're
you're going to run out of me before you run out of topics.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, anyway, this has been your Minions of the Zoo for Saturday. Thank you, panel. Thank you, chat. If I don't like shilling for likes and stuff, but I don't know if it helps us with the algorithm and stuff. So if you don't mind, give us a little thumbs up or a thumbs down or whatever. But yeah,
like share us, make a comment, do something.
Yeah, I mean, don't go out of your way, but just click on the like button maybe because I want to see if it makes a difference.
Something we have to say, hit us up on Twitter.
Yeah, or join us on the Discord. Tell me I'm an asshat. It's happened before. And with that,
he still won't care.
The zoo is closed.